KPBS On Demand is supported by Paint Care, offering households and businesses in California more than 800 leftover paint drop-off sites for recycling. Quantities of 100-plus gallons of paint may qualify for a large volume pickup. Learn more at paintcare.org.
Good morning, I'm Debbie Cruz. It's Thursday, March 6th. Advocates say San Diego County Sheriff Kelly Martinez violated state law by transferring a jail inmate to immigration agents. More on that next. But first, the headlines. Vaping doesn't help smokers quit tobacco. That's according to a new UC San Diego study. In an academic study published this week, researchers analyzed thousands of smokers and e-cigarette users. While many smokers think vaping will help them quit smoking, they found the opposite to be true. People who vape have lower rates of quitting, the study says. That's in part because vaping keeps them addicted to nicotine. The CDC reports 20% of Americans use some kind of tobacco product. LA County and the city of Pasadena are suing Southern California Edison over January's Eaton fire. The lawsuits allege there's video evidence and eyewitnesses who saw the fire start under the power company's transmission lines in Eaton Canyon. SoCal Edison faces several lawsuits from residents in the wake of the fire. The Eaton fire destroyed more than 9,000 structures and killed at least 17 people. The city of Carlsbad is expanding its illegal camping ordinance to include people sleeping in their cars. The city council passed the change unanimously this week. The number of people living in their cars doubled in Carlsbad in just 1 year. That's according to the 2024 point-in-time count of the region's unsheltered population. The city recently got a $2.9 million grant from the state to help people living in their cars find permanent housing. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
KPBS On Demand is supported by the National Conflict Resolution Center. Geopolitics, a divisive election year, and strained budgets are all topics that can create tension in the workplace. NCRC can help workplace leaders navigate polarizing issues with the Culture, Communication, and Conflict Certificate. More at ncrconline.com.
All of the school librarians in the Grossmont Union High School District could lose their jobs at the end of the school year. Education reporter Katie Anasta says the school board voted to eliminate the positions last week.
All of the school librarians in the Grossmont Union High School District could lose their jobs at the end of the school year. The school board voted to eliminate the positions last week.
Aye.
No.
It was standing room only at the meeting. Students, staff, and other community members voiced opposition to the cuts.
It was incredible.
Stephanie Macheka is Valhalla High School's librarian.
I can say with all honesty that if this is the end of my library career, that I feel supported and very loved and very appreciated.
The board voted 4-1 to eliminate dozens of positions. The district is facing a $2.4 million deficit next year. They're also expecting enrollment to continue to decline. Opponents of the cuts say the district has enough money saved to continue paying those salaries. Acting Superintendent Sandra Hueso says relying on savings for ongoing expenses would mean facing the same problems next year with fewer options. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
Cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities has been a big point of contention for years. That fight is playing out right here in San Diego, where reporter Gustavo Solis says the local sheriff's department has come under scrutiny for questionable transfer practices.
During the first Trump administration, California passed a sanctuary law that lays out exactly when local jails can transfer people to Immigration and Customs Enforcement. SB 54 says that only people with felony convictions within the past 15 years or misdemeanors within 5 years can be transferred to ICE. But now advocates say that there have been a number of questionable transfers by the San Diego Sheriff's Office, including a 2023 case that appears to be a violation of the law.
The person that we're seeing that was transferred had a felony conviction that was 21 years old. So that falls outside of the SB54 parameters that allow for the Sheriff's Department to have transferred that person into ICE custody.
Felicia Gomez is with the ACLU of San Diego and Imperial Counties. She's talking about a man who was convicted of assault in 2002, then was arrested for vandalism in December 2022. but it's unclear whether he was ever charged or convicted. Yet, he was transferred to ICE a month later.
Right, the person had a 21-year-old conviction. That person's already served their time. Why do they continue to be punished for that very same conviction that happened over 21 years ago, right?
How this law is followed depends on where you live. On the one hand, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office stopped all ICE transfers in 2021. On the other, the Orange County Sheriff's Office has transferred more people than anyone in the state, with 220 transfers in 2023. Meanwhile, San Diego had 25 transfers that year. At the end of January, KPBS asked San Diego Sheriff Kelly Martinez for an interview. Her team scheduled and then canceled 2 interviews in February. Advocates have asked Sheriff Martinez about these issues during annual public forums. Here's Advocate Clint Carney talking about the impact of the transfers.
One thing we try to do with survivors is we try to help them, our clients, rebuild trust with local law enforcement and to begin to develop a relationship with local police officers. But when colluding with ICE occurs, it eliminates any chance of our clients ever trusting any law enforcement officer.
At these forums, Sheriff Martinez has defended her decision to continue ICE transfers, saying that victims' families support the practice.
Comparing our agency to other sheriff jurisdictions like Los Angeles, Contra Costa, Humboldt, Santa Clara, San Mateo, San Joaquin, or others is just not realistic. Other counties do not have proximity to the border, which reduces the number of people in their custody who might qualify under state law for transfer.
But data show that the Los Angeles Sheriff actually transferred more people to ICE than San Diego before stopping the practice. Martinez also said that she views these transfers as a way to prevent recidivism. She pointed out that 10 out of the 25 transfers from 2023 were in custody for similar crimes they had committed in the past.
As I mentioned last year, as a sheriff, I can legally prevent these offenders from re-victimizing our communities, and I will.
Besides the 2023 case, KPBS found other questionable transfers. In 2022, the San Diego Sheriff's Office transferred a man with a drunk driving conviction from 30 years ago. In 2020, deputies transferred a man with a theft conviction from 20 years ago. Monica Langarica is a senior staff attorney at the Center for Immigration Law and Policy at UCLA. Langarica says that these transfers show inequities in California's criminal justice system, which is something that the state sanctuary laws tried to address.
That disparity between the treatment of citizens and non-citizens in the exact same criminal legal system is what these policies aim to mitigate or to do away with.
Langarica and other lawyers have asked the sheriff's office for more information about that 2023 case. But 2 years later, they still don't have answers.
This person was in sheriff's custody for a vandalism charge. We actually don't even know if that individual was ultimately convicted. He could have been arrested, taken to jail, and then released, with no charges filed or with a dismissal or an acquittal, or a conviction. We just don't know.
County supervisors have scheduled another public forum on this issue for April 22nd. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
The San Diego City Council is moving forward with a plan to raise the minimum wage for tourism workers to $25 an hour. In our next Why It Matters segment, Voice of San Diego CEO Scott Lewis says it's not just hotels that are against the idea.
This minimum wage increase wouldn't just apply to hotel workers, it would also apply to workers at Petco Park. And the Padres are fighting it. A San Diego City Council committee advanced the proposal last week. It would raise the minimum wage for hotel, event center, and other workers in the tourism sector. Hotel union leaders obviously like the idea. They say they've had trouble pushing for higher wages, especially in hotels outside of downtown. But tourism industry leaders say the pay increase would kill jobs. Now remember, this doesn't just apply to hotels. The question of who exactly it covers could be the real argument. Petco Park was specifically mentioned, and the Padres are clearly uncomfortable with that. Here's Diana Pitts with the Padres.
The proposed mandate also creates an uneven playing field. If only a select few venues must comply while others remain exempt, it rewards lower-paying entities with a competitive advantage.
Negotiations will continue. Proponents decided to leave SeaWorld out of it, likely because they knew SeaWorld would spend a lot of money to fight it. I'm Scott Lewis for Voice of San Diego, and that's why it matters.
San Diego's first black city councilman and county supervisor died this week at 102. Reporter Katie Hyson says his legacy lives on.
Leon Williams fled the Oklahoma Dust Bowl as a teen. He arrived in a 1941 San Diego that refused him service at restaurants and hotels. Still, he wanted to serve the city that wouldn't serve him. Here's Williams speaking to KPBS in 2015.
I wanted to create more equity and more fairness and more justice. And I was watching Martin King and what was happening to those African American and other kids in the South. And I was saying, you know, if they can do that, I can do something here.
He won a citywide election, becoming San Diego's first black council member in the late 60s. Then, its first black county supervisor, opening the door for more to follow. He was the first black homeowner in his downtown neighborhood, known for his signature fedora and his knack for getting people to work together. He used that skill to revitalize downtown and create the trolley system. Williams died this week of cardiac arrest. KPBS's Maureen Kavanaugh in 2015.
If you had to do it again in today's climate, would you go into politics again?
If I were young, I would.
So you do it again?
I would do it again.
All right.
Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
A late-season winter storm brings warnings from the coast to the mountains this week. The National Weather Service is warning of beach hazards along the San Diego coast due to high surf and dangerous rip currents through tonight. A winter weather advisory is in effect in the San Diego County mountains through Friday morning. Expect snow at elevations above 4,000 feet and wind gusts of up to 55 miles per hour. The rest of the county can expect heavy rain today, clearing out Friday. That's it for the podcast today. As always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. For your next listen, Friday's KPBS Roundtable podcast features a discussion on Trump's new tariffs, plus a peek at an all-new soccer series from KPBS. I'm Debbie Cruz. Thanks for listening, and have a great Thursday.
KPBS On Demand is supported by the San Diego County Toyota dealers, presenting the new 2025 Camry with refined design and performance. Visit your local Toyota dealer to learn more about all the features the new 2025 Camry offers. The San Diego County Toyota dealers. We make it easy.